But really a lot of good things. Happened in this last ball game from a lot of different aspects, and one of the things I think that we really grew, I think, as a team was kind of realized that there comes a point in everybody's life where you decide you're either going to give of yourself for the greater part of the team in everything that you do, and also understand the trust that it takes with everybody within the organization to go out and do your job. And I think we did that, in that second half without a panic or without, very, very workmanlike, which I like. It wasn't, crazy things or anything like that. I think defensively we did a very good job of keeping the ball in front of us, controlling for the most part, a very, very good quarterback that obviously got one on a 3rd and short, and was faster than everybody on our team, and which is obvious again, and yet, we I thought we did a good job of making them earn what they got, and offensively controlling the line of scrimmage was huge. It was pretty interesting because it was as we saw in the first half, plays didn't need to change, but the extra strain needed to change, and I think that was indicative of our offensive players of the week were Joe Hansley and Rashard Higgins for what they did downfield was fantastic, which created the opportunity for some explosive runs. And really that's that unselfish behavior that you're looking at, and I credit those guys for a lot of the explosive plays that happened. So from an injury wise, this week it looks like Davon Riddick has that, and this is going to hurt us on special teams. We'll see how it goes, but obviously it's not a low ankle sprain, it's a high ankle sprain, so that one is something that it's tough, especially at his position, and the things that we ask him to do is going to be really more than probably day to day on that. And then Donnell Alexander, who I'm telling you guys, this guy's really playing good and doing a lot of really, really good things for us. They're late in the game, came up with a shoulder having kind of hampering with his leg a little bit too. Won't practice at all today or tonight. And so we're going to have to make up, a lot of valuable reps if he's not able to go. And he's been doing a great job on special teams now too. I mean, this guy's really shown me what he's all about, and he's made explosive plays in the offense and does a great job, obviously, on our special teams as well. So that's going to be a huge hole. We should get back Nuvali Fa'apito, which should help us in the special teams. Januska's been cleared, which will help us, there again, and maybe some of Davon's spots. And Kevin Pierre-Louis, I think probably will be able to go most of all week, and I think that's good. And part of that might be the emergence of how some of those safeties played a little bit in that ball game too. So I think that's a good thing, and so we'll be excited to see those guys back in the fold. Yeah, dinged up.
Are they both okay?
Yeah, both okay. Just those things at this time of year take a little longer maybe to heal. Just from the wear and tear. But really proud of both of them for coming back in and not saying no. You know, just really giving of themselves. That makes me feel good as a coach.
So is it fair Kapri Bibbs is not your offensive player of the week, but he's the Mountain West offensive player of the week? Is that right?
Well, and I think
because you just told us Hansley and Higgins for their downfield.
Yeah, they were
is
the offensive players of the week.
Okay.
There's no doubt about it. As you know from the start, guys, it's not what shows up in the box score. It's what caused the things to show up in the box scores because somebody did a great job. That guy that scores the points, it's because guys were setting picks for him and getting him open. They were doing things to allow him to get those shots. And, you know, that's, to me, what it's all about. And, you know, no doubt about it. And you know, I think he's grown up to the point he's starting to realize that you know, it's not all about him. It's about the people around him. And that's huge. That's part of the maturation process, and it's part of growing up. So those guys did an outstanding job. And you know, I'll be remiss not to say, you know, on one of the long runs, Jordan Baden got a great cut, and so did Thomas Kaufman. And you know, when you talk about that little extra strain, let's talk about that catch of Kaufman's. I mean, that was what I'm talking about. Garrett put it out there, and he went and look, this was at a time in the game where that big play kind of elevated, you know, where we were headed. And I just look at that effort. Boy, that speaks volumes for Thomas.
Who are your defensive and special teams players of the week?
This week on defense, I knew you would ask that. Max Morgan on defense, and special teams player of the game was kicker, who I think somebody said was the conference, in which, you know, I struggle with a little bit because he did what he was supposed to do. That's what a kicker's supposed to do. You make the field goals. He changed his approach on kickoffs, and I thought got better this week in his kickoff location. And he got in a guy's way. I'm not sure we can call that a tackle. Did it go down as a tackle?
Like a tackle.
It didn't go down
as a tackle.
Didn't go down as a speed bump.
It wasn't like that Seattle kicker taking it with confidence.
Keep saying these guys keep doing what their job's supposed to do. So is Bibbs supposed to break his school record in rushing again next week?
You know, I hope we don't get to that point. You know, that's it, because as you know, I mean, I believe in balance, and you know, 500 yards should be a realistic goal offensively every week you play, and you'd like to have 250 and 250 and call it good. Some games you're going to have more of the other based on how the game progresses, but Garrett did some decent things in the ball game. Obviously we can't have turnovers. That's part of playing the position.
You've been saying he's playing well, but he has thrown an interception in 5 straight weeks, which I'm sure is that a big concern for you, or are these things that
it
part
is
of his growth process?
No, I think it's part of the growth. It's still a big concern now because you don't know those. I mean, those make a difference, and really in that game, that was we were moving it at kind of at will, and then you go throw one to the other colored jersey. That's a bad gig, and so just he's doing a better job. But he's still got a ways to go, as we all do.
Jim, back to Kapri a little bit. What did it mean to you when he decided to follow through on his commitment to come to Colorado State? Because he had numerous opportunities to have backed out of that in the coaching change and his own academic issues.
No, I think it's great. And obviously, guys, I'm very happy he's here. And our staff did a good job of staying with him and keeping him on track. And he really cares about this place. He really cares about being a Ram, He you know, this is a true family to him, and you know, I'm proud of him. You know, I thought it was very nice that Tony Alford reached out, you know, and I think that's cool, man. You know, I mean, that's part of the legacy, and for him to do something like that, you know, that's a cool deal. So,
How did Tony do that? Did he call
yeah, he sent some messages, and you know, that's for him to take time out of his busy schedule. You know, I think that speaks volumes for what it means to be a Ram, and that's what we're trying to get across to all these guys here right now.
What was it like having? I mean, Kapri was here last fall, taking front,
Classes.
doing what he needed at front range, whatever it was, and out here, whatever he could be, with trying to be watching the team, just wanting to let everybody know. You guys know, his teammates know that he was here. How valuable and important was that as far as what it showed you about him?
Well, I think, you know, that level of commitment is great, and you know, he you know, he's a guy that struggled in Ram U. Okay, got better at it, but you know, that level of year-round commitment, you got to prove to your teammates that you're willing and able, you know, to reach down deep inside. I think that was a great experience for him. And yet the support he's been getting not only from his teammates, but from Donnell and Chris Woke, you know, have been really helping this guy. And that's a great job on, you know, Coach Hammerschmidt's, you know, room. You know, those guys are supportive.
Speaking of Chris, Donnell and Kapri have obviously been getting the bulk of the carries lately, but if Donnell does not play this weekend and Chris has to go in, I guess how has he been handling?
Well, like any true competitor, you want to play, you know. You know, he's been very professional. He's team-oriented. He's shown himself on special teams because he just wants to get out on the field and help this team. And I think that speaks volumes for him and you know, his makeup. And, you know, I think as that goes, you know, obviously that'll increase, as well as, you know, Eric Williams, who has been doing a great job on special teams, will now need, because Davon not being there, you know, that's two holes that now we've got to make sure, yeah, that he's prepared game plan wise, not just to handle a special team role, but be able to handle a you know, an offensive role. So this will be big for both those guys to get that opportunity.
Talking more about the running game, I know everybody gives credit to your offensive line, how veteran it is, but go back to the fact that how much better are your wide receivers blocking on the perimeter that's allowing some of these big things?
Well, and I think the tight ends, you know, what Artie's done with those guys in the run game standpoint, from the understanding, you know, of what that is, you know, being an old-time offensive line coach, and now integrating that with the communication with the tackles. And, you know, I see a group of guys as I look in this room, you know, when we're meeting, that are starting to really understand it's more about what you give than not what you get. It really, that, you know, and that's a kind of a John Wooden quote, that, you know, you're honored by what you give, and don't be like, hey, I get this, I get no, that's not what it's all about. And they're giving of themselves for the betterment of the team.
But how much better are they as blockers? Because I know back in Sonny's day, that was stressed by wide receivers. They had to block if they were going to get on the field.
Mm-hmm.
Where have you seen the improvement? Who are the best blockers that you have out there on the perimeter?
Well, it's interesting. I kind of equate blocking on the perimeter like playing defense in basketball. You gotta strain. You've got to want to do it, and you know, to cut a guy off at the baseline, man, it's important. You know what I'm saying? Otherwise, you're giving up layups, And, it really comes from within. We work the technique every practice. Now it comes down to a point is, I think what has really happened a little bit for them is they see the value of the big play when they do it. Now you kind of get a taste, and now you kind of start to take pride in it. And you know what? That's a good thing.
So not that they've gotten better at it, they're actually doing it now? And
They
who's really good at it?
Well, I think, Rashard Higgins, Joe Hansley are guys that have proven time and time again that they're willing to get down and dirty. I thought, I said there were a couple other times, when Thomas got in and Jordan Baden got in. I mean, they made really good blocks. And you know what? They should be excited about that.
And those guys probably didn't block in high school. I mean, typically a star like that,
No.
not going to be blocking downfield.
That's
you
right.
Have the ball.
That's right.
So is that?
Yeah.
Are those guys harder? Is that more difficult, more challenging to teach when a guy hasn't even done it?
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Especially teaching them angles, teaching them head placement. All of those type things as far as putting yourself in position to be successful at that given play. And like you say, I'll just run them off, or, that's not how it works.
And it's almost like setting a screen in basketball, really. It's not
an
an
art,
overly
man.
physical block that you have to do as long as you just seal the perimeter.
Right. And you've got to be willing every now and then to take a charge.
Mm-hmm.
There was not a worse drill. We had to do it every Tuesday in practice. The take the charge drill, okay, where, I'm sitting there as a freshman, against these big guys, sophomores, against these seniors, and this was their opportunity to show you who you were, right? But you had to take the charge. It was a charge drill. Called it stupid human drill, right? But, yeah, you know what? You find out, that may be the difference between winning and losing.
The second half of this game, how valuable is that as a teaching moment? Like you're saying, they saw the value of those downfield blocks. To see what you guys were able to do, especially in that second half, for the rest of the season and as you move on, to just, this is what it looks like when we do it right. To not be showing another team doing it, but be able to show them that they were capable of doing it.
Well, I always say it's what you learn from your experiences and what you get out of it. So I really think there was a sense of accomplishment. I felt that, and yet, I go back to that. You know what? You've now tasted it. Okay, this is what the commitment. This is what can happen. This can be the fruits of your labor. Where we carry that, we'll find out about the growth of our team. But boy, they should feel good about it. They really should. And because I can't sit here and tell you that before that would maybe have happened.
Well, that was the next part of it, is how do you build on that? Because obviously you had bits and pieces from the Alabama experience, the Wyoming game, a lot of things. You've had other examples this year where things have clicked.
Yeah.
How do you keep this one maybe going a little longer and make it more that this is the standard, not the exception?
Right. That's where you have to appeal to self-pride, in each and every one of us. And that goes not only for the players, but it goes for everybody associated with the organization. Like I said, you had a guy run for a bunch of yards, but he had an opportunity to run for a bunch more if you just do your job. So that's really, to me, that's the lesson. Will we get it? I've seen this happening. I see, And it's so hard, guys, because it's not in the win column. I understand that. But I see it. You know, I feel it. You know, there's that. But you also then, as an individual, have to say, you know what? I can do this. I'm willing to do this. There's a difference. Okay? Can and willing. You've got to be a willing participant, man.
When you look at, go ahead.
There's a fine line between good and great. Is there also a fine line between keeping these guys from being prideful, having pride in themselves but being prideful? Is that why you keep saying they're doing their job to kind of keep their ego in check a little bit, to keep them from getting overconfident?
Yeah, I do believe in that. What you said. You know, it's hard for me to look at where we have been to be overconfident about anything. Okay? And if that's the case, we've had real issues. Okay? So if we've proven one thing, we've proven that we're not able to sustain, right? And part of being great is being able to sustain, and what sustaining is understanding what you need to do and the level you need to do it at, and not take shortcuts. So
would you say your team in that vein, then it's a capable team, but not yet a great team?
Oh, absolutely. I'm just happy they moved the line. You know, I mean, they did it themselves. That's what I'm kind of proud of. I mean, there was no magic. There was no, weird play that caused it. You know what I'm getting at? It was a group of guys out there that just said, you know what? Yeah, we can do this. Now, I'm willing to do it. And we went out and did it. So.
Speaking of remaining consistent, your rush defense has been performing well all season, but New Mexico has one of the best rush offenses, will be best in the conference. How are you preparing for that?
You know, that's one of those things where you're going to find out what we did we'll find out what we did in the spring, what we did bye week, what we did, at the end of fall camp, where you do certain things to work on future opponents, so it's not a whole brand new thing. Okay, this is one of those offenses that brings a unique set of circumstances that you need to be very disciplined. Okay. When they do throw it, it's like last week, threw it 3 times but had a 28-yard touchdown, right? So as soon as you think you're shutting something down, bam, here's the explosive play. You know, this quarterback they have, man, the guy looks like Larry Zonka back there. You know what I'm saying? I mean, he's a big physical runner. And, it's interesting because, some of these guys, you hit and stop them for that 3-yard, 4-yard gain. This guy's momentum takes him forward, and now it's 6 or 7, and he has that enough to make some of those explosive runs. I mean, I like the way this guy, he's really got a command of what they're trying to do. He brings a different sense in some ways, not that, that jitterbug runner, you know what I'm getting at? But a guy that, look, you better be committed to stop this guy, and then when you do, you better have the pitch guy, or you better have the dive guy first. It starts with the dive. So all of those things go into it, and his command of this offense is pretty impressive.
Is he more dangerous for the style quarterback because of Carrier, because of the threat of Casey Carrier?
Well, guys, they have done a very good job of getting some skilled talent at certain positions into their university and into their program. Guys that can touch it and finish. And then when you have the weapon that kind of controls it all, as that other element being, Gotchi, it's you can see it's credit. That I can see why they lead the country in and when you think about it now, you got to understand what pressure not only that puts on your defense, but the pressure put on your offense to make sure every possession is not a lost possession. In other words, you're not going to get as many offensive possessions. So it really puts pressure on your offense to produce points to be able to go against that.
Is this, when you look at this part of your schedule, you've got them, a couple weeks later, you've got Air Force, a couple option attacks. Is this not the part of the schedule your linebackers have probably been looking forward to all
Yeah. Well, linebackers, I mean, all the guys getting cut. That's not a fun thing,
No.
And anyone who says it is crazy. Yeah. But I guess what I'm kind of excited about is to see what we have learned, from the things that we have put into place from a practice standpoint, to see how we attack it now.
But your linebackers have always been considered the strength of your defense. This is where they really get to show their mettle, isn't it?
They do, but it really, your defensive line better take care of the thing they need to up front first, and not allow the dive to, just keep creasing you, and then, these guys being disciplined to now get over the top and handle what they need to on the perimeter is going to be huge.
Secondary, there was so much emphasis to not give up the big play and to keep guys in front of them. It showed this week, but now you need to go back to where you need those guys to really help you in that run support. How do you kind of balance that and as you said, Gaucho will throw over the top of you if you give him the chance.
Boy, if we can't figure out, that as soon as you think you have it, there's evidence on film and some near misses on film that would have totally changed the outcomes of some of the games. I mean, think about how close these guys have been in Mountain West competition. From a point standpoint, it isn't like they're getting blown out. You know what I mean? So, our safeties. I mean, our whole defense. But I go back too. I challenge our offense to not allow it to become that. In other words, take care of what you do on each possession is going to be huge.
Even though they're not a balanced offense at all, you still, if you take away the run game, you still are worried. I mean,
yeah, because of the explosive plays that's created when you're up there sniffing that run the whole time, and then all of a sudden, here goes this guy wide open down the middle of the field or on the rail or something like that, and then, those aren't real tough passes to complete when they're that wide open. I'm living proof of that.
Last week you talked about having an attack-mode mentality and that being something that you need to cross that line, which is great. What was your decision? I mean, you went for it a lot, 6 times on 4th downs against Boise, but not against Nevada. What kind of goes into your decision to do that?
Well, I think where maybe we were on the field, forcing them to go long field, I felt like from a field position type game, and where it was kind of, it seemed like two teams kind of measuring each other, maybe. You know what I'm getting at? So I knew this is if we did our job offensively, we were in a pretty good position to go create points. And I didn't want to give them short field, to be honest with you, to allow them, to get quick scores, or that really probably had more to do with it than anything.
Were you actually surprised your offense came out sluggish, considering everything that was on the table for them?
Well, and sluggish, we take the first drive down, get a, field goal, right, which drives me nuts, okay? We had another opportunity down in there where we didn't, then they did a good job. We had back-to-back penalties, which just, kill you, right? But we were moving the ball, and then we throw it to their colored jersey. As a coach, you're sitting there really, who? Was it them or was it us?
So maybe not sluggish, but you lacked that one thing you wanted, that determination to finish things.
Yeah, not allow
Take that
yourself.
game out of
Yeah,
reserve.
yeah. And yet I wasn't really in a panic, if that makes sense. I mean, there's sometimes you get a sense like, oh, I just never had that sense.
But those are things that would cost you this week. You need to see
Oh.
that right off the bat. You need to finish drives. And
We-
you always say you want to finish every drive with a kick.
Yeah.
You want to make sure it's the team.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. I mean, I think, and this is a team that forces you into doing that based on how they play. I think what they got 2 4th downs against Air Force. I think it was. They're well over 50% in 3rd down conversions. Because the way they play. I think that's a credit to their coaching staff and doing what they believe in.
You talked about you guys getting beaten up and a little bit, exhausted at this point in the season. Do you start to change anything conditioning-wise or weights-wise on, reducing the wear and tear of their bodies, or do you just have to kind of push them to finish?
No, it's actually part of the plan. We go on a 4 and then 5 game, which this is our 5th game in a row. So like today, for example, we try to give them a 36. You try to give them as close, and I'm glad we had a day game, and it was at home. From a recovery standpoint, we won't go tonight with film even until 5:30, 6 o'clock, whatever it is. And then, it's just simply, truly a walk through to try to give the body that, that time to recover. Now, they got to do a great job in the study part of it, and then we've got to come back and practice, Tuesday, Wednesday. We've altered from the standpoint, as you do when you get to this time, rep counts on certain bodies, right? So it's really, this is the important time where you actually manage pitch counts. You're sitting there as a baseball manager, and this guy's got, X amount of throws in his arm. You're going to manage that pitch count. This is the same thing. We're going to manage their rep count, to the best of our ability, so they're ready to play the game on Saturday without understanding. You've got to physically get after each other during the week. It's a mentality, and so there's that balance there.
Do you feel better about going into these games this year that you've played New Mexico before, that they've got some experience to give us an option? You've got some guys out there that have gone through that, chased down, avoided those cut blocks.
Yeah, and yet, I think they're still cutting us from that Air Force game a year ago. Boy, was that miserable. So obviously, this game, this type of offense, gives you those same set of problems, and that's why we put the work in, and now we'll see what we garnered from that. It scares the heck out of me. Yeah.
Do they cut as much as Air Force does that?
Not in probably not as much, but very similar, especially on the perimeter.
You get to know Bob Davey at all on ESPN.
He did.
Makes the rounds, and you're at Alabama.
Yeah, he did a couple of our games. He did, and actually, when I was at Fresno, he did, I think, a couple of the games. He's a guy I just think brings a lot to this league, and obviously is doing an outstanding job in a rebuilding phase, at New Mexico.
Since he saw those games for 7 8 years,
Yeah.
does that help?
Oh, there's no doubt. It's interesting. You talk or you visit with guys that maybe had a little year off or whatever. They got a chance to sit back and reevaluate, see what's current. I think one of the things and I think he even talked about this, is his time and seeing what this type of offense, with maybe what they could get from a consistent recruiting standpoint, probably evens the playing field. And I think he's done a great job of that. Hired a really good offensive coordinator that, had a ton of success in Texas. And obviously had spent those times for when he was going to get that next opportunity, this is the direction he wants to go, and he's done that.
Decided to go back in the dark ages.
You know, and what was causing trouble, man, and I think it fits this quarterback. It goes back to really, what you better fit that guy behind there, his skills. Don't try to put the whatever it is, this round square peg in the round hole, right? You know, he does a good job of that.
The way you talk about Cole, though, are you more worried about him in this offense than you are about Carrier, who he's gone for 338 in a game?
No, I hear you,
Yeah.
But this is the guy who triggers it all. You know what I'm getting at? I mean, he's the reason he gives it on that inside dive, right? He's the one who distributes it on the option part. To me, he's the one who makes it go.
Talk about the importance of starting quickly. Your last 2 road games you did. Can you go back to those?
Yeah.
Film on that and kind of show you guys.
You know, I think our guys in general are starting to understand how to travel. That's part of it. Understanding it's a business trip, understanding that small locker room with just you guys in there, you know, what that means. And you know, I know myself, which has no bearing on our guys, but I loved playing on a road. Anytime you had a chance to go into a hostile environment, I actually played better when they were throwing stuff at me. I mean, that meant, you know what, I was getting to them. Does that make sense? So I hope our guys are getting that same kind of feeling.
Jim, I know you try not to look ahead, anything like that, but how valuable with 3 games to go, needing 2 wins to a bowl game, is that to keep the team in that mindset and that mentality where you want them to be, to keep that focus and keep them sharp, to still have that carrot out in front of them?
Well, I think it's big, and you know, I guess, you know, what have they done to get them to that, to get themselves to that spot? I think is really the reflection, because they certainly haven't gotten there yet. But it's one more maybe little motivation that maybe they need. But what you hope that they're starting to understand is take care of this play. Because that play might be the difference between you going to a bowl game or not going to a bowl game.
And then I wanted to ask you one more thing about Kapri. You always talk about him having a little more juice. What specifically is that juice that you see in him? Is it just speed, or are there some other innate things that make you say that about him?
He has running back qualities. He's got vision and kind of a sense of where things are around him. There was one run in particular that, you know, he kind of dipped inside and guy kind of jumped in and then he bounced. That, you know, those are things you don't teach.
Is that kind of like the one where he stumbled, where he had that safety completely turned around? I mean, that's the kind of move most guys don't even sense to make.
Yeah, he
obviously he was angry with himself, but that was another 50 yards he could have had right there.
Well, and rightfully so, should have been angry. He should have made that run. He should have finished it. You know? Yeah, it was the turf monster just knocked the heck out of him.
But I mean, just the fact that he sensed to make that cut, that
No.
was the way to get by that safety. A lot of guys don't. That's not even going through their head at that point.
No, he's like I said, his vision is not right here. His vision is down here, knowing what's right here. I don't know how to put it any other way, but he's got a great sense of being able to set up the next move with what he did early in the run, and that's big.
Does he also have better body control than maybe your other backs?
Well, his timing, the way he, you know, look, guys, it's patience to the hole, speed through the hole. It's not just running into the back of somebody. You've got to have that, and it goes back to matching your footwork on the play with the footwork of the people in front of you. and understanding the detail that takes. He doesn't cut back too soon. He gets up into the line of scrimmage, and then, those are all that's advanced thinking. And I'm not saying other guys haven't. I thought Donnell has hit some of those really good, and has done a really good job of that too. And what he did even on the screen, setting that up, that was a big play, huge play in that game. So understanding that it's not about you. It's about how it fits with everybody around you.
Just talking about Donnell and what you were just saying, is this the classic example of this is what competition at a position breeds? You've got three really talented guys there.
Well, and a fourth one in Eric Williams. I'm telling you, this guy's a pretty good player, and we may see it this week.
Is that the one position maybe where you're really seeing this is what
it's good,
look
man.
What these guys are pushing each other.
And I think, you look at the tight ends pushing each other. I see those two guys really taking pride in pushing each other. I think the competition has helped Garrett, understand what it takes to get that next step. He hasn't quite taken it, but he's getting there. He's starting to look up the ladder a little bit. I think at receiver, it's very evident. I think in the defensive line, you got a lot of guys taking a lot of reps now, where before, poor Lanston Tanya, right? What was the game? He had 119 or 114 reps.
He had a couple games over 100.
Yeah, that poor guy. I feel horrible. Yeah, I should. I still feel bad about that.
Bibbs, it sounds like there are a bunch of NFL scouts that are already looking at it. On one hand, is that
that's news to me.
This is what I heard from a guy that has a scoop on that type of stuff. Does that make you proud on one hand, but is it kind of scary on the other?
Obviously, the scouts have too much time on their hands. That must be what that means. But he's got a long ways to go before he ever even mentions that. And I will say that only from experiences. I've been around some pretty good ones. He got a long ways to go. Thanks.
What did that feel like as a group?
It's special. In the game, to be honest with you, I had no clue he was even close to that number. You just kind of go play by play and do your job. And I guess at the end of the day, and when we went out there and they said he was going for the record, that was a big deal. And it was kind of funny because I heard 311 or whatever it was, and I thought that was the team total. So I had no clue that he had that big of a day, but that's special for the line to have that kind of thing.
How much extra does that – Coach talks about that little extra strain and all that, and that was really the difference in the second half. How much does it help you get that when a guy is busting it and going all the way when you give him that?
It helps a lot. As an O-lineman, you just kind of block and you just hope that whoever's behind you is running as hard as they can and making plays, and that's exactly what he was doing. And proud of him, and the receivers downfield are doing an excellent job of giving it their all too, because that's huge. Are
there things you guys saw in him as an offensive line this season that can tell you he's a guy that could run for 300 yards and 4 touchdowns in a game?
He's pretty fast. He's fast. He's got some speed behind him. He's just got a lot of patience when he runs, is what I've noticed, and he'll wait, and if a cutback is there, he'll take it. If not, he'll keep it front side, and it's big. He's really got a really good eye for that.
But your favorite runs are like the 85-yarder where you don't have to run down the field, you just run off.
One play series are always a good time for an offensive lineman. There's nothing wrong with that.
He's the kind of guy that lets you know how appreciative he is of you guys. Like, we're not allowed to talk to him, but does he come up and let you know?
Yeah, he's very appreciative of his offensive line and receivers and everyone doing their job, and he's a big team player, and he gives all the glory to the team.
You've mentioned the receivers, and Max said that the receivers were actually your offensive player of the game.
Yeah.
How good of blockers are your guys out on the perimeter?
They did an excellent job this week, and they've been doing an excellent job all season. It's huge. It's hard to explain when you're watching the game. It's one thing you don't really notice, but all three of those long runs were because of downfield blocking by the receivers. as a line, we only have 5 people or 6 people at the tight end, so we can only get them to the second level. And a lot of that depends on what the receivers do in their blocking. And it was big this week and every week.
How impressed are you by their actual blocking skills? I mean,
it's impressive because they're not the biggest guys, so they get a little scrappy, and it works. It's fun to watch.
How much does that, the fact that the receivers are blocking like that downfield, how much pressure does that put on the O-lineman to go down and make that second block into the second level when you have the opportunity?
Yeah, it's big. It's a lot of fun playing with a team that takes a lot of pride in the run game, because I feel like some teams, the receivers, if the ball's not coming to me, it's not my job, or it's not important, I guess. And our receivers take a lot of pride in that, so it kind of pushes us to do the same. And maybe if plays away and you got to go get a safety, go run 20 yards, you got to try to get a safety.
Do you find yourself more cognizant of that than maybe you were a year ago?
A little bit, yeah.
Okay, I got this guy, but hey, maybe I can go get that guy. I'll go give it a whirl.
Yeah, there's always the need to go a little further and push a little harder to give what you can for the team to do well.
You're a little disappointed, though. I mean, as much success as you've had in the run game, they have not gone back to you since the run carry that you got?
I think as of now, I'm leading the team average in rushing, so I'll take it. I'm going to take that. I'll take that one.
Should they go to you more often? I mean,
it's not really. If I could pick a play, I'd pick that one pretty often.
Okay.
But it's not really up to me, so I just.
The coach has named the two receivers as offensive players of the game.
Okay.
You guys good with that one?
No.
Going to be a guy that runs for 312?
Not at all. Not at all.
Yeah. Do you think, was he making a statement there, or what was
it's
how do you look at that?
It's definitely a statement. It's about the little things around here. Is kind of what that's about. And Kapri's gotten all the glory, and he's gotten a lot of accolades this week from his performance, which he deserves of because he performed very well. But at the same time, if those blocks aren't made downfield, then he's having 20, 30-yard runs instead of an 85-yard touchdown run. So it's huge.
Jim talked a little bit the way you guys came out and made that extra strain, as he called it, and crossed that line in the second half. You guys think you're starting to learn that lesson if you can just extend that to making that a full 60 minutes instead of 30 minutes here, 15 minutes here?
Yeah, obviously that's a big thing, is sustaining that consistency. And it's something we've been working on all season. We work on every day. And it's football. Stuff's not going to go your way all the time, and we understand that. But one thing that we've done and adapted as a team is faced adversity pretty well, I think. And if stuff's not going our way, we bounce back and we get it kicking in. So that's huge. But at the same time, we shouldn't have to do that, and we should be able to keep it going. And we're working on that.
Is there something that came out of this second half performance that maybe will be different to keep it sustained throughout the rest of the season than maybe when you guys were feeling good about some of the things you did at Alabama, feeling good about what you did at Wyoming, and kind of backslid a little bit after those games, to keep that moving forward maybe?
Well, to us, it's just about the process. It's every day we come out and we work on our craft and getting better at what we do. And as we keep doing that, it should help with the consistency of coming out week to week. And every game is huge to us. And we just need to keep it going and keep rolling after this second half performance that we had.
Isn't a lot of that mental?
It is.
A lot of it's approach than the physical.
A lot of it is mental, yes. But at the same time, if you're prepared and you know what you're doing, then even though you may make mental mistakes, you still know that the plan is solid and what you've practiced is solid, and it'll all work out.
A lot of you guys on the offensive line talked about one of your goals was to get 1,000-yard rusher. You've already got one, and you still have 3 games left. So what's the new goal? Can you get him 300 yards less?
Our goal is to win the next 3 games. That's our goal, and I think that's doable, and that's what we got our eyes on.
Let's talk a little bit about the attitude of Joe Hansley, because he gets hard. I mean, he gets hit hard pretty much every game. He blocks well, but he's small. What is he like off the field? Does he, or even on the field? Does he trash talk? Does he? I mean, he's small, but he's fierce.
No, he's a pretty quiet guy on the field. He just does his work, and I really appreciate the way he plays, because he's a hard-nosed player, and he throws his whole body into there. And he's got to block someone maybe a few 100 pounds bigger than him. But he's a good player, and he works hard.
Ty, as the lone junior on that senior senior-dominated offensive line. Just how important would it be to get these guys into a bowl game, to send them off with that at the end of their careers?
Yeah, that's huge. These seniors that I play with, all of them, I don't think any of them have been to a bowl game. I think they were the year after New Mexico, so it's huge to send them off on the right foot. And things haven't necessarily gone their way during their career, but I feel like if we finish this off right, it'll be a good thing for them.
Going back to, you said like your goal is now to win your last 3 games. You think that's doable. Do you also refer back to like that second half? We have to be more consistent for this to become reality.
Yeah, that's a big thing. We came in at halftime and we knew it wasn't good. I think we had 51 yards rushing, and as an offensive line, we take pride in that. And no disrespect, but it was kind of embarrassing for us because that's where we can play better than that, and we knew it. So we kind of took it as a pride deal and kind of went out and got it done.
So we talked about you guys going ahead and you making that conscious decision on your own. Jim said it wasn't him.
No.
You guys did. But did you see that throughout other areas on the team? It wasn't just you guys getting the
well, it's kind of starts within your position group, and you kind of talk about it, and then as a unit, you kind of come together and decide what you're going to do, and then as a team, and it's big to turn around like that.
You said you were a little embarrassed with the way that you started, and the last 2 road games you guys started well, and ended up winning those games.
Yeah.
Is that of key importance this week to come out and start strong?
Yeah, it's always big to start strong. That's something we focus on every day at practice. We have a starts period. I think you guys are there for that. It's a lot of running, but it's kind of mentally is supposed to put us in a place to where we come out every game with the same mentality of starting fast.
What kind of problems does New Mexico present to you guys specifically? You saw them last year, huge on the run. You expect that their guys are used to seeing you run block a lot more, perhaps than other teams you played. You think you'll throw a little bit more just because they've seen so much run action, or what?
Yeah, I think that this week they're going to be packing the box a little bit more, especially after the performance we had last week. So we're going to have to keep it balanced and just play the offense we can, because we can run and pass, we can do it all, so we'll be fine.
Thanks, Dad.
Thank you. Mm-hmm.
Do the linebackers look forward to this, or do you not, because you know you're going to get your knees taken out and just better play?
I mean, we look forward to it. It's a different challenge. It's not a conventional offense, but we go through ram drill. You guys have probably seen it, cut drill, so we're ready for that. And, we'll be prepared for it.
But as linebacker, when you know the ball's, they only threw 3 times last week.
Yep.
The ball's going to be on the ground most of the time. You guys look forward to that as linebackers.
Oh, yeah, definitely. It's a challenge to us and as a defense to see who has our assignments, and if we follow those, we'll be fine.
What do you remember about that offense last year? What makes it a challenge?
I mean, they give us some different looks. They have some cone looks, pistol, all that option stuff. And also they have pretty good athletes. Their quarterback is a big guy, running back. They're, second in the nation. They're doing pretty well on the ground. So we look at it as a challenge, and we're ready for it.
What do you remember about the back carrier?
Mm-hmm.
What makes him a good back?
He sees the hole well, and he just hits it. He's pretty patient, and when he gets in open space, he's pretty tough to tackle.
Does going up against Kapri and watching Kapri help you kind of know what to expect from him? Can you use Kapri to learn or practice with that?
There's similar backs. Capri's a little he's a power back and a speed back, so that really prepares us for anything. We also have Woke and Donnell and all them. We have really good backs, so we're prepared for any backs we see in the games.
Jim talked a lot. I think a lot of people focused in on the offense because of how they kind of had their resurgence in the second half.
Mm-hmm.
But defensively, what did you guys do to be better in the second half? And as he said, take it upon yourself to play better and finish that game.
Yep. We practice it. We have a whole period for second half. We also have the fourth quarter period, so we're prepared for that in practice. And during halftime, we just got all our adjustments, and we were ready to come out in the second half.
But is it a kind of a lesson that if you were to play that well consistently, just how good you would be?
Oh, yeah, definitely. When we do our job, come out, communicate, and just listen to the coaches. Can be a great defense.
Do you do anything different to prepare for this week? I mean, you know you're going to have an exhausting game in front of you. Do you eat anything different? Do you take less reps? Do you do anything?
No, it's same thing every week. You know, our coaches know the amount of reps we need to get, especially with how this late in the season, maybe cut a couple reps, but overall it's about the same. You know, we're still getting in the film room and going after it at practice.
Jim did talk a little bit where it's as impressive as Carrier's been in his career.
Mm-hmm.
He really likes their quarterback.
Mm-hmm.
Big guy.
Oh,
Bigger
yeah.
than you're used to in an option quarterback?
Oh, yeah, definitely. I was watching some film yesterday, and he's definitely running through tackles, so this week we got to prepare for that, make sure we're wrapping him up.
Coach said you guys are finally starting to learn how to travel and play on the road.
Mm-hmm.
And when he played, he loved playing on the road because guys were throwing so bad and they were getting on. And he hopes that you guys are trying to get that mentality as well.
Mm-hmm.
Are you starting to get that mentality?
Oh, yeah.
Playing on the road and the hostile player?
Yeah, definitely. I enjoy playing on the road, too. The boos get me going as much as the cheers do, so that's always a good challenge. And, yeah, this year, we're really, as a team, we've been playing well on the road.
He said, that you had periods in the spring ball, fall camp, bye week,
Mm-hmm.
going over this option stuff.
Mm-hmm.
What was recall like for that for you guys as a defense? And then do you feel like you're better prepared this time around? You faced New Mexico last year,
Mm-hmm.
Cal Poly this year,
Mm-hmm.
Air Force last year. You guys feel like you're a pretty good option defense right now?
Oh, yeah, definitely. And, yeah, like I said, ram drill, we go through cut drills, live cuts. And during practice this week, we might have a couple live periods of cuts, and that really prepares us. And, yeah, definitely seeing Cal Poly this year and Air Force and everything like that, we'll be prepared for it.
How do you guys find a balance between not looking too far ahead, but using that you guys can get to a bowl game as
Mm-hmm. We know we just got to look at one game at a time. If we look too far ahead, might get distracted this week and give one up. So we're really just focused on this week and preparing the same way we do for every game.
This will be the second week in a row you face a team, 3 games left. They got to win all 3 of them to get bowl eligible.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, you're in Nevada's host.
Mm-hmm.
Do they play different? Do you see a different look in a team's eye when you know they've hit that desperation stage?
I'm not sure. Everyone comes out, they play hard. That could make a difference, but I haven't seen.
What about for you guys? The closer you get to being bowl eligible, do you feel like you guys rally around that, or does that add more pressure, do you think, or do you guys worry about that?
We try not to worry about it. It is exciting, but we want to prepare for this week. We know that it's 1 week at a time. We got to prepare for this team coming up.
You'd be lying to us if you said you hadn't thought about it.
Oh yeah, definitely.
More questions for Eric?
I'm good. Thanks, sir.
Yep.
Have some lunch.